Morning or whatever time of day it is for you. I hope everyone's having an awesome day or night or evening. I'm just going to check and make sure my microphone is working as usual. If my computer will load, please. Give me 1 second. Okay, we are good to go. All right, so today, oh no, I lost my document. Okay. I am very excited to be talking about this today. Today, we're going to be talking about the virtual pet renaissance. And my fan is on. Give me 1 second. Okay, much better. Fan is off. And now I'm actually ready to start this. So, oh my God, no, I'm not. Anyway, the virtual pet renaissance. This is something that's been going on for a while now. We are currently what I believe to be at the peak of it. And yeah, so if you're not really familiar with what's been going on in the virtual pet community, basically there was a huge resurgence of virtual pets, especially in the American and global market after Bandai reintroduced the Tamagotchi brand globally. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about, I have this whole, I have a really long document talking about every release I could like find that was relevant. Not every single individual release, but just like big moments or big releases within the Tamagotchi brand and within the Digimon Virtual Pet brand. It's not, I don't know, that feels weird. So, teeny tiny disclaimer. Uh, when I use language like localized or if I'm talking about whether a release was released in the US or released in Europe or released globally, I might have that a little tiny bit wrong. And yeah, I did my best to be as accurate as possible, but I might at sometimes say, oh, this was released in North America, when in fact it was also released in Europe, etc. So that's just my little disclaimer. But so today we're going to be going through the whole virtual pet renaissance, where it started and where we are now, um, and how I think that we might be at the beginning of a decline in this renaissance. So, and when I use the word renaissance, I mean like resurgence, a sudden burst of popularity, kind of like the Disney Renaissance, where Disney wasn't making animated films for a while. The Little Mermaid came out, and boom, there was a whole like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, etc. Tamagotchi did the same thing essentially. So when I use the word renaissance, that's what I'm talking about. And yeah, so I'm going to be going through the Tamagotchi side of things first because that's what really started it, kicked it off. And then after after we catch up with the Tamagotchi releases, then I'll get into the Digimon stuff. And I could have I could have put it all together in one singular timeline, but it was too much. It was too confusing because I'll talk about a Japanese release and then have to jump a year later to when it was released in the United States or released globally. So if I mixed that in with the Digimon dates, it would have been way too confusing. So for the purposes of not being too confusing, we're just going to separate them. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. What you see on screen right now is my current run of virtual pets. Minus the Pendulum Z, I'm not really running that right now, but I brought it out for the purpose of this video and to chill with Marine Angemon, I guess. I have Metal Tyrannomon on this one. This guy, he went to bed at like 12 a.m. and then woke up at 7 a.m. And yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And then I have two little nanos going right now. So yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. I am praying to God that I'm good at reading today because I didn't like script the entire thing, and a lot of this is going to be my own thoughts, but yeah. So let's go ahead and just get into it. I'm going to clear these out of the frame actually, and they might return later. So where did this whole resurgence start? If you don't know, Tamagotchi, I think, was originally released in Japan in 1996. So around 2016, 2017 was when the brand had its anniversary. And in April 2017, Bandai re-released the Tamagotchi Chibi / it's also called Mini to celebrate the 20th anniversary. So this is an example of a Tamagotchi Mini. This is actually the American packaging, which was released in November 2017. And this was very significant for the market in the United States because we hadn't seen a virtual pet release or a Tamagotchi release specifically in years. I think the Tamagotchi Dreamtown or the Tamagotchi Friends Dreamtown was the last release, and that was made in 2014, I believe. And so, as fans, we hadn't seen a release in the US for like at least 3 years. Which, looking back at it, I feel like that wasn't that long 3 years isn't that long, but I remember just feeling like, oh my God, all these releases are coming out in Japan and we're not getting anything in the United States. So it felt like the brand had died in a way. So when we got the Chibis or Minis released, it was really, really exciting. And I remember just seeing like a lot of articles or videos saying like, quote, Tamagotchi is back, as though it was, gone, like it was only there in the 90s and then it's making its reappearance now 20 years later, which is not true. But yeah, like a lot of it had extremely positive feedback and reception. And my voice is not great today. I remember around Christmas time of that year, scalpers went crazy and they bought tons of these, like tons, and then, resold them at stupid prices because this was a very popular stocking stuffer Christmas 2017. And it continued to be very popular. They made multiple waves or series of this particular device. And, for a while, all we were seeing is minis, so many minis everywhere. And it kind of felt like a fluke, like, okay, The mini came back for the 20th anniversary, and that's it. We're not going to get anything more. And people were happy to see them on the shelves, but as collectors, we're disappointed that we weren't getting like a big release. You know what I mean? Like a full virtual pet, because the minis are very limited. So in late November 2017, the Tamagotchi P1 and P2 were re released in Japan to continue the 20th anniversary celebration. And I have two, I didn't bring them. I wish I did, but I didn't get them out. I have two of these, and they're just, carbon copies of the original Tamagotchi, but they take CR2032 batteries. The processor is a little bit faster, so they're easier to play with. Just like a re-release, but also kind of an upgrade if you enjoy the gameplay and nostalgic feeling of experiencing the original Tamagotchi Virtual Pet. And yeah, they were really good quality. They ran exactly like the originals, no bugs or issues. And I mentioned that for a reason because in October 2018, so we're jumping a year forward now, Tamagotchi Originals made their debut globally. And a Tamagotchi Original looks like this. And it's basically the same idea that Japan had, where you're taking the original Tamagotchi and upgrading it slightly, and people are able to buy it again for nostalgic reasons or whatever. And yeah, so this is an English example of the P1 or P2 re release. And the Japanese version of this device is excellent quality. The screens look great. The sound is great. It doesn't have any bugs or weirdness with the programming. However, when these devices first hit the shelves, the English versions, they were riddled with bugs, and the programming was off, and they sounded terrible, they looked terrible, honestly, like, and they kind of felt terrible too, like the plastic just felt really cheap. And this is a more modern version. Like they've made so many iterations of Tamagotchi Originals at this point. I tried to count how many shells they've made of Tamagotchi Originals, and I think the number was like over 90, including some of the old designs that are being reprinted. But still, there's like 90 different shell designs, which absolutely blows my mind. But yeah, so let me get back to my timeline. Yeah, I wrote, while many fans were ecstatic to see a fully fledged Tamagotchi hit the shelves after 3 years of absence, they were soon disappointed with the quality of these devices. They were riddled with gameplay bugs, faded screens, and the beep sounded more like screeches. These originals have been steadily releasing since then, which has been it's been 5 years, and Bandai has slowly improved the quality. So, yeah. I'm gonna come back to this. So, like I said, the timeline is confusing because the Japanese releases are usually first and then it comes to America, blah, blah, blah. So we have to jump back in time. We were just in October 2018 when the Tamagotchi original hit the shelves in America. I think it was North America and Europe. I'm not sure if they were globally released in October 2018. So we're jumping back now to December 2017. I'm sorry, this is confusing. Where the Gudetama Tamagotchi Nano was released in Japan. And this marked the first significant collaboration with an IP outside of the Tamagotchi brand to be made into a Tamagotchi Nano. So it was very exciting to see a Sanrio character become a Tamagotchi. It was really cute. People really liked the idea. and it was released globally the next year in December 2018. And the Tamagotchi Nano series has greatly expanded since then, with over 30 collaborative Tamagotchi Nanos made to date. I counted those too. I think it was like 32, 30, I don't know. But these projects have greatly impacted the relevance of the Tamagotchi brand, with large companies like the Pokemon Company, Disney, and Warner Brothers allowing Bandai to license their IP. So I do have examples to show you. So yeah, the Gudetama, I think there was one Tamagotchi release, one Nano release before the Gudetama. I think it was the Pocket Usapio, but that was like a Tokyo Disney Sea exclusive, I think. And it wasn't like groundbreaking, or it didn't really seem to open the door. The Gudetama was, what's that word? It was anybody could buy it. It wasn't a Disney World exclusive, anything like that. So it just kind of like it seemed to be the one that opened the door to Bandai collaborating with other IPs to make Tamagotchi Nanos. So this is the Tamagotchi Eevee, and this one was super exciting because like Pokemon collaborating with Tamagotchi, it just didn't seem like it would ever happen. So it was really, really exciting to see this one. I would show the Gudetama if I had one. I actually don't have it anymore. I I liked it at the time of its release, but it got kind of boring to me. No offense if you love it. Excuse me. So this was very, very exciting. The Tamagotchi Eevee, which I think was released in 2018. This is 2019 on the packaging. Yeah. But for some reason it feels like it was a more recent one. Or sorry, an earlier one. Like when was this released? Yeah, Gudetama was released in December 2017, so I guess this was 2 years later, but yeah. Lewis said, wait, if Eevee is in a Tamagotchi and Tamagotchi was like the basis for the Digimon, does it make Eevee a Digimon? Eeveemon? Kind of. Kind of. I guess if it's a Pokemon housed in a Bandai virtual pet, it kind of, yeah. Um, so I have the Grogu, which I showed off on my most recent stream. This was a big one because it's like Disney and Star Wars. Uh, yeah, so this was very exciting. And then I also just have the Anya Chi, or I don't know if it's actually called that, but Spy X Family Tamagotchi. Yeah, so this is a good representation of the anime collaborations that have been done. So you get the idea. Like there's been 30 different collaborations in that same vein of Tamagotchi Nanos. So recently, the frequency of announcements for these collaborations seems to have slowed down, causing concern for fans that the age of nanos might be coming to an end. The most recent nanos to be released are the Crayon Shin-chan and Usada Pecora Tamagotchis, both released in December 2023. So, for a long, long time now, it feels like. I guess since December 2017, there's just been a constant flow of these nanos coming out. Boom, 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 boom. Always, always, every month it seems, or not every month, but like every 2 months, it feels like there's an announcement. And it's been slowing down a lot. It slowed down a lot in 2023. And yeah, so I'll talk about that later, but it's just let's put a pin in that. The nanos have been a huge, huge deal in terms of relevancy for Tamagotchi because people who are not virtual pet fans are buying them. Like, oh, I'm a Spy X Family fan, I'm a Mandalorian fan, I'm a Demon Slayer fan, whatever. They go and buy them, which to me, it feels like a big deal because Tamagotchi has always done collaborations since the beginning. Like, I think the first one was the Mothra Tamagotchi in 97, I believe. And so it's always been relevant enough to make big collaborations like that. So seeing a slowdown of the nanos is kind of concerning. And I'm wondering if it's because of the Tamagotchi Uni, if the team that normally works on the nanos is now being diverted to work on the downloadable stuff for the Tamagotchi Uni. I have no idea, but put a pin in that. Nano production seems to be slowing down, and we'll get to it later. So let's see, where was I? Yes, so the Gudetama was released globally December 2018, and right before that was when Tamagotchi Originals made their debut, at least in North America and Europe. Maybe globally, I'm not really sure. And let's see. So, with the massive successes of the Tamagotchi Originals, which have continued to pump out shell designs, 90 plus, which is insane. The success of the Tamagotchi Nanos and the Minis. The Minis were the ones that started it all. With all of that snowballing, in July 2019, the Tamagotchi On was released. And the Tamagotchi On was the first color screen Tamagotchi to be released outside of Japan. And the Tamagotchi On is a localized version of the Tamagotchi Meets, which was released in Japan the previous year. So it was a big deal. Tamagotchi had consistently been releasing products exclusively in Japan. Tamagotchi never lost its relevance in Japan. And in America, we were always like, when are we going to get a color screen? We thought it would never happen because it just wasn't relevant enough for Bandai to invest that much money, into a device like that. They didn't think there was a market for it, and they didn't think people would buy it, etc., etc. So the Tamagotchi On was a big, big deal. It was like, whoa, this is actually happening. And yeah, it was a really big deal. Karl Marx says, I wish they would just give us a Tamagotchi Connection series. I think the P1 and P2 are just too lackluster for kids these days to get into. I could be wrong. I agree. I think kids nowadays might enjoy the simplicity of a piece of technology that isn't so stimulating and feels like its own dedicated device. At least that's one of the reasons I still enjoy them, is because it's not on my phone. It's not a bright LCD shining into my eyeballs, and it feels like its own little thing. I think some kids do enjoy it, and they must be, because who else is buying all the originals, right? I know collectors are a big part of buying the originals, but I don't know why they're still so popular, because every time I've ever tried to play one, it ends up dead. Like, this device actually is the last time I tried to interact with a Tamagotchi original, and it died. So, I don't click with these at all, and I think people are literally just using them as Funko Pops. I've said this a million times, collecting them for the sake of collecting them, to put them on a shelf, to look at them, which is fine, but for me, I just don't collect like that. If I buy something, I want to use it, So I don't really know who their market demographic is for the Tamagotchi originals, and I think the Tamagotchi Connections would do a lot better in terms of children actually enjoying them. But okay, tangent over. yeah, so the Tamagotchi On was a really, really big deal. That was July 2019. Super, super big deal. Very, very exciting. And then it was followed by the Tamagotchi Pix in the summer of 2021, so 2 years later. And that was the first color screen Tamagotchi release to be designed for an international market and was not released in Japan. That was very interesting. Uh, interesting in different ways. Let me see. It was exciting because Bandai America or Bandai Europe or whatever, someone who isn't Bandai Japan was putting a lot of effort into making a Tamagotchi release that was catered to a different market outside of Japan. And overall, it was just a good sign for the brand. Really, really good sign. However, I do think, and this is my personal opinion, the Tamagotchi Pix was very lackluster, worse than the Uni, probably one of my least favorite releases ever. I do not care for it at all. I think the camera is gimmicky. I think they were trying to dumb it down so kids would like it, and uh I just don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy something that is not universally enjoyed by many age groups because I'm very old. So Tamagotchi Pix was not my favorite, but it was a good sign. And this was then followed by the first 100%. Why did I write that? That sounds dumb. But this was followed by the very first global Tamagotchi release, the Tamagotchi Uni in summer 2023. So all of this movement within the Tamagotchi sphere has now brought us to a mainline Tamagotchi release that was not only exclusively released in Japan and then later released in the US, it was released everywhere at the same time, which was a first for the brand. Very, very exciting. Beyond exciting, really. As a fan and collector, it was, really awesome. Excuse me. Of course, I have my own thoughts about the uni. It's not my favorite. Let me get it out. Actually, I have it. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, it's a bad omen. um, yeah, I accidentally hatched this earlier. Or was it an I don't know. I was kind of just like it was dead and then I hit buttons and the eggs popped up and I was like, "Oh no. What do I do?" So I hatched an egg because I thought it might be more interesting to show an alive Tamagotchi instead of a dead one. But okay, so we are pretty much caught up. I mean, that's all I have for the Tamagotchi side of things. And of course, again, this is just my introductory timeline, and I'm going to get into my fears and thoughts after I give you the full, complete context. So I'm going to take a tiny, weeny break. I have a cup of tea here, and I will check up on the chat. So, yeah, so that's it for the Tamagotchi side of this renaissance. And yeah, so it's when I was writing it, I was like, oh my God, all this is so crazy. I can't believe we've had all these releases. And then now that I'm done reading it, I'm like, that a lot? I don't know. um, but yeah, I'm just gonna have a sip of tea. Let's see what chat is saying. Karl Marx said, as a kid, a huge part of the fun for me was connecting with my friends' Tamagotchis. If my first Tamagotchi was a P1 or P2, I'm not sure I would have gotten so attached. I agree. I think that the connecting aspect made it so much more social. And I think I think I still would have enjoyed virtual pets, but I also grew up at a time when the Tamagotchi connections were in full swing, and it made all the like, we used to get in trouble. Like me and my friends would be like connecting, oh, send me that item. And we would be like sending each other items and getting in trouble in class. And it was just it was very, very fun and silly. Yeah, so I think that there's like a mutual bond, like people who grew up in the 90s and had the P1 and P2 as their, first Tamagotchi experience. I think that there was like a camaraderie of like, oh, well, we're raising them and we're raising them together. And oh, mine turned into this. What did yours turn into? There's like a general, community sense. I don't know. And also, they were just so popular at the time. I don't think that Tamagotchi Connections blew up as much as the original Tamagotchis did. Like, not every single kid in class when I was in school had one. But I think in the 90s, like most kids had this thing, right? So I think it was just like a different time. But I'm glad that my introduction was in the Connection era. Dreamfall said, praying for a Connection re release. I know. The thing is, dude, like the Tamagotchi Connection began as the Tamagotchi Plus in Japan. And the Tamagotchi Plus, I think, was released in 2004. So that means this year is. Okay, hold on. Let me Google. Let me Google. When was this released? Tamagotchi Plus. Yeah, it launched in 2004. And what month? What month? March. Oh. Whoa. Okay. Hold on. It released in Japan in March 22. It released in March of 2004 in Japan, and it released in August as the Tamagotchi Connection version 1. Yeah, in August of 2004, the Tamagotchi Connection version 1 was released in North America. So that means this is the year. This is the 20th anniversary of that whole series. So if they're gonna do it, wow, 20 years ago. Oh my God, I'm so old. But, oh my God. So, uh, yeah, if they're gonna release it, it's gonna be this year, right? Uh, I hope they do it. I hope they do it. I really do. I remember the last I heard of this from anybody official was Raw Tamazone's interview with the Bandai America marketing person. I think that they were head of marketing. I'm not sure. But they said, or she said, that they've spoken to people in Japan about it and it's hard to like, figure that out because, I don't know. Like if basically the what I gather from that is that if Bandai Japan doesn't want to do a release of a re-release of the connections, then it's not going to happen. And also like do they have access to the programming? Like, who knows because it's 20 years ago. I don't know how that works, right? Like what if something happened and they don't I don't know. Anyway, all I'm saying is that I hope that we have a 20th anniversary version. It would be a big shame and a big fat loss of money on their part if they don't do it. Like, come on. Every single post Bandai makes about Tamagotchi, release the connections, blah blah blah. And I'm sure Japanese fans feel the same way. Like so, yeah. Anyway, I'm supposed to be taking a break from talking and I'm talking more. So, yeah, they need to do that. They please. It's been 20 years. I'm old now. I deserve this. And like, oh man. Come on. Iconic. Talk about Y2K iconic whatever. I remember when I remember on the Tamagotchi website, they would have like celebrities promoting Tamagotchi virtual pets. Do y'all remember that? Yeah. Anyway, I'm drinking my tea now. Because we're about to get into Digimon stuff, so. But please, for the love of God, please, can we get that re-release? That would be so fantastic. I could talk about that all day. I'll say one more thing on this subject. The problem is that if Bandai Japan is in charge of the connection re-releases, Bandai Japan didn't make the version 2, 3, 4, 4.5, etc. That those were all like American, somewhat bastardized versions of the Japanese programming. So if we do get re-releases of these items, whatever, if we get re-releases of these connections, they might just be the Japanese versions only, which I personally am fine with. I don't care. I'm here for everything. I'm here for anything. I would love to have a version 2 re-release, but honestly, the rest of them I don't care about. But I do love the Keitai, I love the Uratama, I love the Entama. I would love to see. Honestly, I would prefer, if I had to pick one, I would prefer to have the Japanese connections re-released, and I think it's more likely to happen. However, for everybody who really loves the English connections, I am here for you. I support you. I love you. I hope that you get what you want. But, Jordy said, whatever it is, please no more minis. I know. And Jordy said, I think that they have moved past nostalgia stuff in the Tamagotchi brand for a long time now. Yeah, I kind of agree. Kind of. I think that the Japanese side of things has moved past the nostalgia, but the fact that Bandai America keeps pumping these out, these Tamagotchi originals, like there's no tomorrow, I don't think that Bandai America has moved past the idea of nostalgia. It seems like Bandai Japan, they'll release something and then they'll stop. They released the P1 and P2 and they stopped. They released the Digital Monster 20th and then they stopped, right? It's like they want it to have like a certain quality or a certain, we released this once and you can only get it once, kind of like making it more valuable in a way. Whereas Bandai America just likes to pump out whatever they can. In my opinion, if it's making money, they'll make more of it. And it seems like the P1 and P2 originals are continuing to make money. And once again, I am talking too much. But I think this is a good time for a break to talk about stuff before we get into Digimon. So my tea is excellent. Thank you for asking. And I need to slay this demon really quick. My camera's not focusing, but yeah. So now let's get into the Digimon side of things. The Digimon side of the virtual pet renaissance is very interesting because the Digimon virtual pets kind of vanished for years. Who is beeping? I have no idea. Anyway, Digimon. Let me see when the last Digimon virtual pet before the 20th anniversary was released, just to give you some context. Digimon 20th anniversary. Digimon virtual pet line, list of virtual pets. Okay. So, Digimon Catch, what? What is that? Digimon Cross Wars. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so okay, got it. I believe, based on Wikimon, love you Wikimon, you're amazing. based on Wikimon, the last like traditional Digimon virtual pet before the 20th anniversary was the Digimon Cross Wars Mini, which was released in 2010. So there had been like zero, there had been a lot of Digivices, I think, and stuff, but in terms of virtual pets, there had been like zero virtual pets until June 2017 when the Digital Monster version 20th was released in Japan. And obviously, this celebrates the 20th anniversary of the virtual pets. And I found this interesting that the Digimon virtual pets had like a classical resurgence. Like they, how do I explain this? So in 20, in April 2017, or no, sorry, November 2017 was when the P1 and P2 Tamagotchis were re-released in Japan. But in June 2017 was when the Digital Monster had its resurgence with the 20th anniversary Digital Monster. So it's not that significant because it's in the same year. They had the same idea around the same time. I just found that interesting that Digimon did it first. And they also did it better because it had the Digital Monster version 20th has all of the eggs from versions 1 through 5. It has added gameplay and all this stuff, whereas the Tamagotchi P1 and P2 was just a carbon copy of the original and it had nothing new to offer. So, yeah, so the announcement of the Digital Monster version 20th was the first time I even realized that Digimon was a virtual pet before it was an anime. I had no idea. And I think people are shocked by that, but in America, the virtual pets were not super prolific. I remember the Digivices, but in 97, I was like 3 years old. I do not remember seeing Digital Monster virtual pets. So my first Digimon virtual pet was actually the gray Japanese DM20. And yeah, so that was the beginning of the renaissance for the Digital Monster virtual pets. And in June 2018, the Digimon Pendulum version 20th was released. And again, at this point, the Digital Monster version 20th and the Digimon Pendulum version 20th are both Japan exclusive devices. They're not super language heavy, but if there is language, it's in Japanese on the Digital Monster, and on the Digimon Pendulum, there is some English language, but it was never localized. So, the Digimon Pendulum version 20th quickly became a fan favorite and had a few quality of life updates from the DM20. Yeah, so people love the Pendulum version 20th. And in July 2019, so 2 years after the version 20th was released, the Tamagotchi originals had been performing so well across the globe that Daddy Bandai, why did I write this? Daddy Bandai decided to bless us with a global release of the Digital Monster version 20th. The gray and brick red colors were available as well as a few new colors, and the Digimon Pendulum version 20th was never released outside of Japan. So, yeah, so the Digital Monster version 20th, this is a copy of the English version, and we have somebody who doesn't want to be in focus right now, please. It's very gray and rainy and horrible outside. I was low-key hoping for some thunder for sound effects, but yeah. So this is the fully translated, localized version of the Digital Monster version 20th. Really iconic device, really super awesome. It did amazing things for the Digimon virtual pet side of things. Honestly, probably one of my I don't know which one's my favorite. Honestly, Digimon Virtual Pets, I don't know what's my favorite, but this is one of them for sure. If I want that Digimon feeling, I pick one of these up. And yeah, so these were very popular. I don't know how popular they were, but once again, Bandai America sees potential in something and they just keep pumping it out. And I'm not sure how many shell designs or colors there are available of this device as of now, but globally there were a lot more colors released than the gray and brick Japanese exclusives. So that's really fun. People love to modify these. This one right here is actually modified to have orange buttons and a different background. So yeah, people really love the English version of this device. And for good reason. It's a really solid virtual pet. So let's move on. In March 2019, the Digital Monster X was released in Japan and available for pre-order from the premium Bandai US site. And an English version of this device was later released in the US in October 2021. And again, I'm not sure if it was released like in all of North America, in North America and Europe, but I know it was released in the United States. So yeah, we're just going to say that. And that was like super exciting because it was like, okay, the Digital Monster 20th is doing really well. We are also getting an English version of the Digital Monster X. Like, this is really crazy that people are buying these things on the Digimon side of things. Tamagotchi has that universal appeal, but it seems like for me and others in the United States, the Digimon virtual pets just didn't stand out as much in our collective psyche, in the zeitgeist or whatever you call it. So, November 2019, the Digital Monster X version 2 was released in Japan. Almost 3 years later, an English version of the X2 was released globally in March 2022. The announcement of this release was met with great excitement and anticipation, but upon release, it became evident that there had been a huge mix-up with the packaging, shell designs, and internal programming. If you guys have been around here for a while, you remember this. It was a huge, huge mess up. I don't want to get into it explaining it right now because it's kind of confusing, and honestly, I don't remember all the details, but essentially, there was a mix up in the programming. And if how do I explain this? It's so annoying. People ask me all the time, what happened with the X2? And I'm like, I don't feel like explaining it because I don't remember. But essentially, there was a mix up. If you bought a purple device, for example, if you bought the purple and silver device, it actually had the red and gold's programming, if that makes any sense to you. So, therefore, the box also had Digimon on the front that were not on your purple device. If you wanted what you thought was the purple, oh, it's so confusing, and I don't have examples. I feel like if I had my X2s out, I could easily show you what happened, but regardless, people bought these devices, started them up, and it was wrong. Okay, everyone was really mad. They attacked Bandai on Twitter, all this stuff. So if you'd pre-ordered these devices, you didn't get them for another like 2 months, I think. And it was a big mess up. So what Bandai had to do was repackage all of these devices. So the internal programming was still wrong, but the box matched the Digimon on the outside of the box matched the contents internally of the device. I hope that makes some sense. If it doesn't make any sense, I'm really sorry. I know that was really confusing. Yeah. I'm done talking about that. But anyway, it was a big mess up. The takeaway from that is that it was a big mistake. And I'll get to why in a second. So, moving on, Bandai made a boo-boo and they put a band-aid on it and moved on. And in March 2020, the Digital Monster X version 3 was released in Japan. It is yet to be released in English to the dismay of virtual pet collectors, myself included. Many continue to wait, while many others have lost hope. It is believed that the X3 was never released in English due to the mix-up of the English release of the X2 and the subsequent loss of funds. That's it. That's all you need to know about the X2 is that they messed it up and we haven't seen another English release in the Digimon virtual pet sphere. Yeah, and it sucks. It sucks so bad because it just sucks, dude. I think if there hadn't been this big public outrage, they might not have fixed their mistake. Like if it was just a few bad Amazon reviews, I think that production would have continued, no one would have noticed. They might have noticed later and then made more with the correct boxes. I don't know, but it was very interesting and a big deal in the virtual pet community. Nobody had ever seen, at least in recent years, nobody had ever seen anything like this happening. So it was very exciting and very, for me, it was kind of fun because I'm just here, I'm here for the ride. I'm not upset about stuff like that. I know it was upsetting to people and I understood why, but for me, it was just like, oh, they messed up. Oh, shit, So, it was very entertaining and people have the belief that because there was such a huge public outcry, that is why Bandai didn't make the X3 because they're scared of making another mistake and da 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 da. When in reality, it's probably just the fact that they made a mistake, people freaked out about it, and then they fixed their mistake, but they lost money doing so, and they didn't have the money to make the X3, or maybe one of the higher ups was like, oh, this is a huge mistake. We can't afford mistakes like this. We're not gonna produce this product anymore. Who knows, dude? Who knows? But yeah, it was very interesting and very, very, very fun for me to watch. But yeah, hopefully, I was going to say in the future, hopefully that won't happen again, but I just don't. For me personally, I believe that we're not going to have any more English Digimon virtual pets, unfortunately. But we'll get into that later. So, in November of 2020, the Digimon Pendulum Z was released in Japan. Okay. And it was followed by the Digimon Pendulum Z2 in April of 2021. And this right here is an example of the Digimon Pendulum Z. Honestly, I've been spending more time with this recently over Christmas and stuff. And it's a really good virtual pet. I really love this a lot. I need a sip of something. Oh my God, my voice is going. Anyway, this device is super fun. I really enjoy it. It's very similar to the X series. And it's a shame that this might be the last black and white LCD virtual pet, Digimon virtual pet, because yeah, let me read what I wrote because when I write, I'm smarter than what I'm saying right now. So Yeah. So it was followed by the Pendulum Z2 in April 2021, and this release potentially signaled the end of traditional black and white screen virtual pets, as well as the release of Digimon virtual pets in English, as this release was never localized. So sadly, we never got the X3 in English, and we never got the Pendulum Z in English. The Pendulum Z was less surprising than the X series because the Pendulum series was never localized in the United States to begin with. Back when the Pendulum original was released, it was Japan only. I don't know why, because the Pendulum series is really awesome, but we never, it never came to it never released globally. What am I trying to say? So, yeah, we never got the Pendulum. The Pendulum Z wasn't super surprising that we didn't get it in English, but we should have got the X3. It's a shame that it didn't happen. It really is. Wish that I wish it happened. I wish that by some miracle they decide to give us the X3, but I just don't. At this point, it's been how many years? How many years? uh, the most recent English release, I believe, was in July of 2022. So a year and a half ago was the last Digimon virtual pet release in English, which were um, this this is I can't take it out because it's sealed, but this is a copy of one of the special designs that they made, and they put it in a different box. It's the same old. I can't. The box is too big, okay, but it. That's the top of it. That's the side. Whatever. This wave of shells was the last English release that we've seen, except for the Kenji Watanabe shells, which I believe were released last year. I honestly don't remember. I didn't get into that, but the Kenji Watanabe versions were a premium Bandai exclusive only. Exclusive only. Ugh. The Kenji Watanabe Digital Monster version 20th was a Bandai premium exclusive. So it was available globally if you bought it through Premium Bandai, but it wasn't available like on Amazon or Target or anything like that. So in my mind, it's not a truly localized release. But that's just my opinion. And yeah. So at this point, we haven't had like a truly localized virtual pet in a year and a half. And I just don't feel like we're going to get the X3. But I'll talk more about that at the end when I'm wrapping everything up and telling you my thoughts about why I feel like the Renaissance is ending. So, yeah. My notes say many more color variants of the English DM20 were released over the years until the most recent release in July 2022. There have been no Digimon virtual pet releases in English since this date, except the Kenji Watanabe version. And then I wrote, we're not going to mention the Vital Bracelet. Sorry, y'all. So the Vital Bracelet is kind of a virtual pet release, kind of not. It's kind of a Digivice release in my eyes. So we're not really going to talk about it. We're talking more about traditional virtual pets in this video. So I didn't really feel like the Vital Bracelet fit in. So we're not going to talk about the Vital Bracelet. And yeah. So February 2023, the Digital Monster version Color is released to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Digimon Virtual Pets. It is the first Digimon Virtual Pet to be released with a full color screen, and as such, it could signal the end of oh my god. Let me do that again. It is the first Digimon virtual pet to be released with a color screen, and as such, it could signal the end of traditional black and white LCD virtual pets being made within the franchise. An English version was not announced, but the Japanese versions were localized in the UK. So I do think that the this is secondhand information that I found on Discord. I believe that in some places the Digimon Color is on shelves in the UK. I think it's like smaller game stores. I'm not really sure, but I would consider that to be a localization of the item, I guess. However, we did not get it in the US. It was available for pre-order on Premium Bandai US, but it's in my head it's pretty much a Japanese exclusive item. Oh, Owl Hatch. Hey, Owl Hatch says it's on Amazon? Okay, but like, okay, hold on. If it's on Amazon, that's fine. I still don't think it's localized because it's not a retail item. It's like a premium Bandai item. So I still think that the digital monster colors that are on the shelves in the UK somehow they're not being sold at a retail price. They're not being sold for $60. They're probably sold for like the UK equivalent of $90. Oh, Owl Hatch said the UK Amazon, not sure. Hold on. Hold on. Amazon.com. Digital monster color. Okay, yeah, so the digital monster color is available on the US Amazon. However, it is not being sold for the original price point of like, I think it was $60, something like that. It is being sold for 94, 90 to 9, actually no, 90 to $100, which is like aftermarket prices, I think. Is that how you would describe that? I'm not really sure, but basically it's being sold for more than it was originally intended to be sold for. So in my eyes that is like aftermarket. It is not localized. It is just somebody on Amazon selling these. But I don't know. I don't know how all this works, but to me it doesn't feel like it's truly been localized. So I for my for my intents and purposes, it does not fit that idea of being localized. So, okay, February 2024, next month. Very exciting! I'm so excited. The Digimon Pendulum version color will be released. And once again, it is pretty much exclusive to Japan, but it was available globally via Premium Bandai. Very exciting, super exciting, awesome, amazing. However, what's going to happen to the traditional virtual pets like the black and white old school style? What's going to happen to that side of the Digimon virtual pets? Because these are great. I'm very excited about the color releases. However, they're more expensive, less accessible globally. Excuse me. And there was another point I had, and I lost my train of thought. So, yeah, we're caught up on the timeline of the Renaissance, and I'm going to take a teeny weeny tea break and read chat, and then we're going to get into my concerns about this being the end of the Renaissance and, why I think that. So, let's see. Okay, Shy Celeste, yeah, Shy Celeste said, yeah, it's probably on Amazon through a third-party seller, not being sold by Bandai on Amazon. Let me see. If we click the version 5 of the Digital Monster Color, I'm not seeing brand Digimon. I'm not seeing who sold. Hold on. Da, 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 da. Customer reviews, manufacturer Bandai Namco. I'm not seeing who is selling this. I don't really know how on not on mobile, on desktop. But yeah, who knows? Somebody smarter than me will figure it out and tell me maybe. Shimashimachi, I can never say that, says scalpers have been slowly ruining the virtual pet scene since 2020. Agreed. Thankfully, with Digimon virtual pets, they're so cheap on Amazon, you can't really scalp them, except for the color versions. The color versions are not as widely available, so it's easier to scalp them. Tea, love it. Oh, Owl Hatch said on Amazon UK they're 70-ish pounds, unless they're from Japan. There's a Kenji Numamon V Pet. You can get the Kenji Watanabe on Amazon in the UK. That's crazy. That's so crazy. Shimashimachi says, yeah, I wanted to buy a color one, but I could never find one. Okay, this is my tip. If you want any of the color releases, if they're going to continue being, premium Bandai only, hopefully not, but we'll see. If they continue to be premium Bandai only, the best way to get them is to pre-order through, what was it? Hobby Genki. Hobby, Hobby, Genki, Genki. It's a proxy service. It's expensive, but it's the cheapest option. So, yes. And they ship very quickly after it is released, etc., etc. That is the best way to get these things. Unfortunately, it's annoying and dumb. Yes, it is like Zen Market. So, yeah, it's a proxy, but since it's a pre-order item, you don't have to send it to a warehouse. They'll just ship it directly to you once they get it in. So it's actually kind of easier than Zen Market. And I ordered the pendulum color through Hobby Genki. So yeah. So it's annoying and it sucks. And I wish that it's possible that we get a localization of the digital monster color. It's possible, maybe, but at this point it seems unlikely because of the massive decline in Digimon virtual pet releases. This tea is very good. And I'm trying to gather my thoughts because it's so easy. Whenever I stream, my brain goes in like 5 million directions. So, this next section of the stream is going to be like a big wrap up explaining why I think that, you know, why I'm scared the Renaissance is over. Okay, so I think I'm ready to get into it. So, throughout this whole timeline, I've kind of given points where I feel like those are adequate examples of why I believe the Renaissance is slowing down. Hopefully, not coming to an end. I wish that this era would continue on and virtual pets would just kind of be a staple in the Bandai brand globally because they continue to be a staple in the Japanese market. But as a fan in the United States, I know it doesn't always last. It kind of happened before. Like when I got into virtual pets, it was the connection era. My first Tamagotchi was a Tamagotchi Connection version 2. And after that release, we had the version 3, version 4, version 4.5, 5, 5.5, the Tamago, and then the Tamagotchi Friends and Tamagotchi Friends Dreamtown. So that was a lot. We had consistent releases like every year or half a year, I think, at some points in time. And, it was this big resurgence in popularity. It was almost like a precursor to this renaissance that we're having now. And then, the the popularity of virtual pets just completely dropped, and we had nothing for 3 years. So I think that might be the main reason why I'm skeptical about this renaissance ending, because it's happened before. And yeah. I've seen it happen before, so I just don't trust it. I trust that Tamagotchi will continue in Japan and Digimon Virtual Pets will continue in Japan, at least for now, because the Tamagotchi never stopped producing in Japan, pretty much. And then the Digimon Virtual Pets are doing so well in Japan that we're getting, big color devices, which is a big deal. But they're not being released in English, they're not being localized. They are premium exclusive only. And that just feels like we're going back to the dark ages of 2014 where there were no virtual pets on English or on American shelves. And yeah, that's just what I feel like is happening. And I have some more points to highlight this sense of of the end approaching quickly. Hopefully not quickly. This is all just my opinion, and who knows? Like I could make this video and then suddenly we get tons of new nanos, or we get a Digimon in English, or something exciting happening. Because right now we're at a tiny bit of a standstill, at least on the global side of things, and especially on the Digimon global side of things. So, the first thing on my list is that the Tamagotchi Uni feels like a quote peak moment, which means it might be downhill from here. The Tamagotchi Uni being a massive global release feels like a peak. Like this is the peak of the Renaissance. Does that mean we're near the end? Not necessarily, but I feel like it means we're at how we can't go much higher from here with all the releases, all the nanos, and now the nanos are slowing down, so it feels like the Tamagotchi Uni is a peak, and then maybe we'll have another global release depending on how well it performs. Like a lot of the future for Tamagotchi virtual pets globally right now, I feel like it's hinging on the Tamagotchi Uni because of the decline in nano releases. So that leads into my next point, which is where are the nanos? Surely there are more collaborations and money to be made, yet the production seems to have drastically slowed down. Like I said before, it used to feel like every month there was an announcement. It wasn't every month. It was maybe every 3 months we have an announcement. And it's like, a big anime that will have a localized release and be sold at market price in the US. Like this one, for example, the Anya Tamagotchi Nano. This is obviously a Japanese device, but okay, well, Hold on, do I have a ugh, I don't have it, but if this were localized, my friend from Japan actually gave this to me, so it's not actually a localized copy, but if this were a localized copy of this device, it would have a big sticker in English giving a warning about the battery and stuff. And a lot of Tamagotchi Nanos were, initially released in Japanese, but then localized in that way. So then they're sold at market price on Amazon or like in Barnes and Noble in the US and other countries. But the last two Tamagotchi Nanos to be announced, which were the Crayon Shinchan and the Pecora Tamagotchi. The Pecora was a premium Bandai only release, so you could get it in the US, but it is premium Bandai only. And then the Crayon Shinchan, oddly enough, is a Korean exclusive. So once again, it has to be imported. And it's just unusual because the trend was Japan makes a Tamagotchi Nano. It gets localized. And they're easily, it's easy to access them in the US. And so that's another, the production in general has slowed down and they're becoming more exclusive, which are just not good signs. Like, were the anime nanos not selling well in America? I don't know. I thought they were. It seemed like they were. I bought a lot of them. And yeah, so the nanos are a big red flag to me. The next point I have is the Digimon X2 seems to have marked the end of English versions of the Digimon virtual pets. And the Digimon Color versions seem to mark the end of traditional virtual pets, as I mentioned before. And I feel like it's highly unlikely these color versions will ever get an English release or even a localization in the US. And again, you can argue that ordering on Premium Bandai US is like a localization, but to me, it doesn't feel like it is. So if we got a digital monster color in English, that would be crazy. I don't even know if it would work because I don't know if the American market would pay $60, for a Digimon Color virtual pet. I don't know. I just don't see it happening. I don't think it would work, unfortunately. Yeah. So let's see, what else do I have? I wrote the Tamagotchi originals were called Evergreen by a Bandai representative in a conversation with Raw Tamazone, which is a good sign. However, there are so many shells at this point, I feel like it's unlikely that they will continue to sell at the appropriate numbers forever. So this brand or this item that they're putting a lot of effort, time, and money into, I feel like eventually people aren't going to keep buying this. Because they just keep reprinting the same thing over and over and over, and it's selling well, obviously, but if they just keep pumping all their money into this, I feel like it's going to run dry eventually. And it's a good sign because the latest shell that they announced is like a clear blue, I think, with like a blue case. So it shows that there's enough interest in these for them to start, exploring accessories and stuff like that. So that's a really good sign. But I don't believe in these. I don't. As a product, it's just not my thing. And it's getting really dark outside. Do y'all see that? Weird. Anyway, uh I don't know. It's like good that these exist. It's good that there's interest in the brand, but you can't keep selling this forever. There's no way. There's just no way. Even people who collect them like madmen, there's only a few I mean, there's a lot of people out there who collect all of these, I'm sure, but they're the minority. I think. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see what chat is saying. Hold on. Da, 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 da. Um, let's see. Owl Hatch says the issue I see is a huge lack of advertising in the US and UK and Europe, etc. I agree 100%. There's like no advertising whatsoever. The Tamagotchi originals have had a lot of advertising. The Tamagotchi Uni had the large collaboration with Charlie D'Amelio, so I think on that side they're okay. But for Digimon Virtual Pets, there's like no marketing at all. They're just like they were running completely on nostalgia, and I think when they messed up with the X2, they just decided to cut production for Digimon Virtual Pets. Shimashi said, yeah, Tamas are definitely not being advertised properly outside of Japan. Owl Hatch says, we really could if they threw a little more money to these devices and advertisements. I've had a ton of millennials that didn't even know they're still being made. Yeah, definitely there's like a lack of awareness. And it's a shame because I think some people, if they were aware, they would be more interested. Shimashi said, Nano releases seem like a cheap way to keep the brand afloat. Yes, for sure. Because of these big collaborations, it makes them, more popular, I think. Uh, Shimashi also says nanos are a bit too shallow for most. I agree and I disagree at the same time. I think that initially I was disappointed in the gameplay, but they grew on me over time, especially because I'm an adult with not as much time to invest into very detailed gameplay. Shy Celeste said, I feel like for non virtual pet collectors, the general public is not that interested in virtual pets right now. I agree. I think I think that's been the problem for a while is that children might be interested in virtual pets, but adults in general, even adults who play video games and would maybe enjoy running a Tamagotchi or a Digimon, they just either haven't heard of it or are not interested for whatever reason. Let me see. Shimashi said, yeah, re-releases are a way to keep nostalgia train going, but it's too shallow for the absurdly long period they've been doing it. Yeah, I agree. And I don't know, it's like, is the nostalgia that much of a pull? Like, I know for a lot of people it is to buy like one, but I don't know. Shy Celeste said, I'm so tired of the P1/P2 re release. Amen. And Man of Oil said, I just hope they still release the DMX V3 at some point. Dude, I know. I wish. I really, really wish. Especially because, like, people who want to play that device are having a hard time getting their hands on it now because they're very expensive. So I would love for the X3 to be released, but at this time, I just don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. But yeah, so I definitely, for some reason, I just feel like the Tamagotchi Uni is a peak. And from here on, we're not going to see like, it's not going to be like, oh, boom, they're done producing virtual pets. There's no interest, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to be like that. I think it's going to be like a general, like, okay, Digimon English virtual pets are not there anymore. They're not being produced. Nanos aren't being produced as much. And just a general decline. I don't think we're at the end. of this resurgence, but I do think this marks a decline, unfortunately. And I could be wrong. I could be very, very wrong. But this is just what my gut is telling me, what the data is giving me the impression of, and it just kind of sucks. Especially because, like, for me personally, I've been, at first, I hated the nanos. I was like, oh my God, they're making so many nanos. This is so stupid. I hate them. Why do they keep doing this? I keep buying them and not using them. But then recently, I got into the nanos and I really like them a lot. And so I don't really want them to stop. But, that's not the, again, it's not the end of the world for me. But it's more upsetting for me personally that the Digimon X3 didn't happen. And because of the X2 flop, if the X2 flop didn't happen, I would feel like it's more likely that we would get the Digital Monster color in English. Yeah, that's just my theory. Is that if the X2 didn't flop, we would have had the X3 and then maybe the Digimon color in English. I think the Digimon color in English would have been, maybe the quality wouldn't be as good as the Japanese and all that, but yeah. Man of Oil said the main thing is if you compare the Tamagotchi original sales with Digimon sales on Amazon, Tamagotchi outsells it by a large factor. I think they've given up on Digimon. Yeah. So that's a big problem. It's always been that way, that Tamagotchi way outsells Digimon for whatever reason. And it doesn't really make sense to me because Digimon in some ways feels bigger than Tamagotchi in terms of, like, it has a big anime that's still making movies, up until last year, and so much merchandise, card games, etc. And Tamagotchi doesn't really have that, but I guess in terms of the virtual pets selling, Tamagotchi always has the upper hand because that's all that they ever were, really, was a virtual pet, and it was wildly successful. So it makes sense in a way. But yeah, I'm gonna take another quick break and then I'm gonna wrap it up. So I have this, what is this? Earl Grey sparkling tea that I'm gonna open. If you like ASMR. Oh, that was really loud. Oh shit. Man of Oil said, yeah, crazy that Digimon is the bigger brand and better device, but it's got nothing on Tamagotchi. I agree completely. I definitely think that as an adult, I've had more fun with Digimon than Tamagotchi. But I love both. Both are great. And yeah. Shimashimachi said, I feel like Bandai gatekeeps Digimon a lot. It's a lot harder to get a Digimon device versus any Tama. I'm not sure. I agree with that, but I don't know if it's because Bandai produced fewer units. I don't know if it's because the Digimon virtual pets weren't as popular. Like, who knows what the reason is, but I do agree that it's harder. Like, Digimon virtual pets individually, the older ones especially, can be so expensive. Okay. Uh, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. It was really nice to see old faces and new ones. And this was so much fun to type all of this mess out. If anybody wants a copy of my timeline, let me know on, like, Discord or Instagram and I'll send it to you. Not that it's very interesting, but it is just kind of like a consolidated list of important times in this virtual pet renaissance. And to close out, I do want to say that I am hopeful for the future. I'm not, all doom and gloom as my thumbnail suggested. I definitely wanted to be kind of dramatic and talk about this because I am worried that we're having a decline, but I'm also hopeful that the Digimon Color will sell really well, and maybe we'll get a Digimon X in color, and the Tamagotchi Uni is doing really well, and hopefully those who enjoy it will continue enjoying it, and maybe there will be a Tamagotchi Uni 2.0 or whatever comes next in the Tamagotchi brand. Hopefully, will be universally enjoyable, not only marketed at children, so that older collectors like myself will enjoy it as well. And it won't be, it will continue to have that universal charm that Tamagotchi has always embodied. And yeah, I'm hopeful for that. I really am. And I hope we get more nanos. I hope that we will continue to have traditional style black and white Digimon virtual pets. Those are my favorite. The color ones are okay. I hope that I enjoy the pendulum color more, but I don't think we're at the end yet, is what I'm trying to get at. There's definitely been a slowdown. And this renaissance has been so much fun. It's been amazing. I've made a lot of friends since 2017, and I got back into the hobby in 2016, and all had been quiet on the global side of things, and then boom, we start getting releases in America, releases in Asia, Europe, etc. It was just a very exciting time, and I think the reason I'm worried is that I would hate to see that come to an end. And I've made a lot of friends. I started this YouTube channel. A lot of good things have come since the beginning of this renaissance, and I hope that wherever it goes, we all have a good time and try not to spend too much money. So yeah, I think that's all I have for today. Aw. Oh, he's crying. Why are you crying? Oh, because I neglected it. Right. Okay. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna read chat really quick. Let me see. Tyler Holmes says, "Oh, dang, I missed it." Well, if you want to watch this, all of my streams, much to my own regret, are all available after. I don't delete my streams. So if you missed this, please feel free to rewatch it. It's not going anywhere. I honestly don't know where that beep is coming from. Is it? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, my streams are always available after I initially stream them, so don't worry about that. Shy Celeste said, "Thank you for a great stream. I need to go back and watch what I missed." Aw, thank you for being here. I really love streaming. I really, really do. It's so much fun. I say that every single time, and it doesn't get old. Oh, and hey, Lorelai, good to see you. Um, and yeah, I'm just always surprised that people want to hear me rant about stuff. So, yeah, I think that's all for today. And once again, I don't want to get off, but I will. I have stuff to do. And I'm kind of tempted to run this uni now that I got this little tadpole guy, but I probably won't. But yeah, if you watch this whole thing, thank you so much, like for real. And if you're gonna watch it later, thank you for that as well. And I am still trying to figure out if I can stream once a week. I think I can do it. I'm not sure what day it will be. Probably, I don't know. I honestly have no idea, but I'm trying to stream once a week because I enjoy it a lot, and I think you guys enjoy it too. And yeah, it's just a good time. So I'm I don't think I'm gonna do a series like Spooky Walker again where I'm doing the same thing over and over. That honestly got boring to me. I think if there's a device I want to highlight, I might do like 2 streams a week. I don't know. I'm just rambling, but basically, I'm trying to stream once a week. If you can make it, that would be great. I know for people in the US, it's hard to watch in the morning, but it's the only time I can do it. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. I'm gonna hop off now. Ramble, ramble, ramble. And hopefully, I'll see you guys in the next one. But until then, thank you so much for watching. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Okay, bye.